Please welcome the incredible Tasha Blasi.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here, Renee. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we met in Hawaii.
Yes,
Not a terrible place to meet.
it was incredible.
Yeah,
We should
the
go back.
couples retreat.
Yes, yes. It was such a great retreat that you and Dan and Melissa and Chris put together. So thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. There was 20 couples, so 40 of us just jamming on. You know what I love about creating that space is bringing in the people that understand, like, I would say every single person that we talked to in that room already had a great marriage. So sometimes I'm like, why are you all here?
Yeah.
Because we know
but we're all over
the next level.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. We know there's a next level. Like how can it get any better? Well, let's make it better because there's always opportunity.
Right.
Right. And then you and your hubby, which was really cute because I remember we walked to the beach one day and it's like you and I were in the back and or your man and Dan were in the front and we're just like walking to the beach. And I thought, this is cool. You know, when you like meet new people and you're like, I feel like we're going to be friends for life.
Yes. Yes.
That was that moment.
I love it.
It was so cool. I got some cute pictures of us too.
I know.
Anyway, so today we're going to talk about some like really interesting topic that what I love about this whole world of IVF as of late, there's just more research. There's more people talking about it, more women and men, and more women sharing their experience about it too, which kind of makes other people that are going through it feel like they're seen and they're heard. And you've created an entire business out of it from having to go through it yourself. So tell us about your journey.
Yeah. So I ended up doing 10 rounds of IVF to have my 2 children. And what's interesting about that isn't that I'm insane. It's that I was 33 years old and it was a male factor. And so that shouldn't have happened. Right. And every doctor, I went to 4 over the course of 5 years, they would say there's nothing wrong with me. And of course I'll be pregnant. And of course it'll be easy. And then it wasn't, and it wasn't, and it wasn't, and it wasn't. And so in the journey, I was just in survival mode. I wasn't like, oh, I should make this a business. It was really afterwards. And I had Mila, my second child, and I was a shell of myself. Our marriage was a shell of itself. Like everything was but I had my babes. And somebody else said to me, you should be a fertility coach. And I was like, oh, you're sweet, weirdo, and I had, right? Like, oh, that's cute. And then 6 days later, I got laid off from my job. And I was working in Manhattan, SVP of media sales. Before that, I was a biology teacher. So I'm a big science nerd. And I was just like, okay, that was subtle. 6 days after somebody tells me I should be doing this with my life. And that was back in 2016. And that's what started it. And I went from just supporting women going through it. I just knew so much to I'm going to figure this out. I'm actually going to figure it out because I do have that nerdy science brain. And I was like, I'm going to figure out the formula to why people do or don't get pregnant and the formula to IVF. And that took many years, of course, and it took me working with a brilliant reproductive endocrinologist to just bounce all my data off of, because my clients have always been around the world. And then finally, in the last couple of years, I know how to make somebody as absolutely fertile as possible. I have the formula for that. And then when you're doing IVF, this is what you need to know. This is how you know what your protocol should be, and this is how you execute it.
So I feel like there's probably some similarities with IVF and even perimenopause protocols.
Right.
It's
been wrong for so long. Yes.
Well, and that's the thing. And like, you know what? Dan and I were super blessed that we never had to go through this, but I've had best friends going through it. And it's like grief after grief. Every month is like a massive loss. Even though you may have not have lost anything, it's because you haven't gained something.
Right.
And it is it is so taxing. So I can only imagine the energy that comes into a relationship because of this. Every month, you're not
Right.
pregnant. And again, you're not pregnant. And then something happens. Which I believe, like, if you choose to fix the fracture in the relationship, you end up bringing the best kind of energy into it. But 10 rounds, like how many years was that?
That was over 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah. My son was round 2.
okay.
And then my daughter was round 10. And that was, people are always asking me, what does that mean, rounds? It was actually 9 egg retrievals and 10 transfers. So that's also unusual, where most people make a bunch of embryos and then just do a bunch of transfers. No. I had to start over, and every single time.
Oh my God, this sounds like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but I was being qualified. I was being qualified to do this, because if I got, had 2 babies and 2 rounds of IVF, or didn't have just such a ridiculously bad like situation, I don't know if I would have been in this position to be like, this is wrong. Every time I fail, somebody's actually making a lot of money. What is their incentive for having me be successful? You could argue stats. I could tell you why that's not one of the cases, but do you know what I mean? And I was like, this isn't okay. And then once I really started studying protocols and seeing the same protocol that was done to me now 17 years ago was the same protocol for low egg reserve, high egg reserve. It was like, we can't all be, this is like the perimenopause talk. Why are we all on one protocol?
Oh my gosh.
Why isn't this customized? And then when I would see my clients, and again, I'm studying thousands of case studies from around the world because of being a consultant and just getting my hands on them. And I was picking out, when a woman has this issue or this level, like, this is how you do it, and I just feel like with things like IVF, it's not customized. That really benefits the clinic to make it okay instead of optimized. And the patient just needs to know more.
Yeah. I mean, we can go down a rabbit hole here.
Right.
But also, back in the day, I don't know what the day was, but we'll just say a long time ago, the pressure was all on women. No one were ever looking at the men, that potentially maybe the men's contributing to the infertility.
Yes. I still feel like it's shifting a little bit, and you're hearing more things, especially online, with like how the male sperm contributes. But it's still, I would say it's 70-30.
It's crazy.
Right now.
My friend Kirsten and Mark, they talk about this publicly, and that's how I even heard about it on social. Her and her husband were going through it too. And so she was doing everything, like super dialed in nutrition and supplements and all this stuff, sleep and no stress. Like, his life was going on as per usual. And then after a while, she's like, hey, babe, maybe can you just get checked? And, a man, like, how dare you insinuate that it has anything to do with me? Because that would emasculate me. Sure enough, it wasn't her, it was him. And sure. I think it's absolutely, because combined, they have like 500,000 followers on their social media accounts, maybe even more. So it was pretty big deal for them to share that. Yeah. And I loved that. Because there's probably some men out there that aren't even questioning the fact that they could be the issue.
Right.
And now there's like women saying, hey, babe, look at these guys. Maybe you should go and look too. But I was going to say earlier is I've been doing a lot of research on perimenopause, menopause, and like asking my mom what she went through, and like the age. I feel like I'm a little bit young for some of these things, but also not. And I hired a beautiful woman named Dr. Michelle Sands. She's 51 or 2 years old. She just finished doing all of these competitions, like bikini competitions, and won. Gosh. And she only started training like a year ago.
Oh my gosh.
So she's already proving to the world that women middle-aged can gain muscle and still win this competition. So anyways, working with her, in-depth protocol of supplements and HRT. And then I did some research about what I should be eating and avoiding and what time of day I should be taking all these supplements. So probably hours and hours and hours of feeding ChatGPT and Claude. I came up with a protocol and I printed it out and I shared it with Dr. Michelle Sands and her team. And they're like, this is legit, dialed in. But it's even like how much supplement, when to take it.
Yeah.
And that in 2 to 3 to 6 weeks is when you'll actually start feeling the effects. So in my mind, I'm like, this has got to be very similar to IVF. The other thing I wanted to share too is the unfortunate story of you being chosen, the chosen one, to have to go through those long years of infertility to be the one to be inspired to change the way that we do IVF. Like, do you believe that story for you?
Well, I feel very fortunate, actually. I think I could sit there going like, Brian, it was your issue with the low sperm count. What did you do? What did you not do to get there? It just became so clear to me why I was picked to do this, because I don't know. So I feel very fortunate. I feel like it's a big task. Sometimes I wonder if I can do it. Can I change a multi-billion-dollar industry? I think yes. And then of course there's that little tap that's like, but can you? So I actually feel very blessed, and also I worry that I'm going to run out of time to get all of this stuff done and out. So there's kind of an angst.
Come on, hurry.
I know. There's an angst with that. And I told you, I put my books with the editors right now. I have software, things like that coming out, but yeah.
Okay. So tell us what you're building then. Books, software, and what's your specialty? How do you help people? Is it just women or is it men as well?
Well, so the book is all about how to be as fertile as possible, because whether you're doing IVF or not or whatever, everybody needs this part. So many people jump to the medication, right? And I always say, and I'm sure this is the same with perimenopause or anything. It's like, okay, you cannot force a pregnancy. No medicine, no machines, no surgeries can force a pregnancy. Your body has to know I am okay to keep me alive and to, of course, grow a baby, which is basically an adorable parasite, right? So is your body okay with that? And so this is right. And so you have to know, everybody has to know how to be as fertile as possible. Skipping to IVF is going to waste you a lot of time, money, mental health, energy. So that's I put like 2 books in one. That's book 1. What nobody's telling you about how to actually get fertile. They're always like, it starts with the egg. It doesn't start with the egg. The egg is a symptom. It's an alarm. It's something that says something is off, because there's nothing wrong with your eggs. Your eggs are responding to other issues. So find those root causes, find those issues. That's book 1. Book 2 is about IVF. This is what I want everyone to know about how it works and how it works best. Because I did this for 10 rounds. You can't find this stuff online. You cannot find this stuff online. You put into chat, what should be my protocol for IVF? This is what it should be. Well, should it be this? Yeah, it could be that too. Well, I heard this. Yes, that's actually because there's so much information, but none of it's been based on the woman's actual biology, right? And so book 2 is, before you even touch IVF, know best practices, know what it's about. And then so that's the book, information about getting pregnant with or without IVF, and then really about IVF. The next part is, okay, you're doing IVF. What's your perfect protocol? That's the software. What's your perfect protocol? You type in, these are my inputs. Output will be, this is what I want you to discuss with your doctor.
That's cool.
Then the third part is exact executions of it. So I can deliver to literally anybody a perfect protocol in less than 10 minutes. It's just, it's maybe even like 2 minutes. Like you just need to give me your inputs and I'll be like, if I have to look at your history, that's another thing. But then it's, now you need to execute it. And this is another big miss. Somebody can have the perfect protocol and then it gets messed up in you going too long on stimulation drugs. You're not going long enough on stimulation drugs. The follicles become really uneven because there was an adjustment. So that's the last part, which I'm calling a calculator, which is exact executions. So that's what I'm working on and worried that I'm going to run out of time.
But what is the running out of time? Meaning you think that there's like 30, 50, 60 years left in this work?
No. It's it's all it's what all entrepreneurs go through. By the time I get it, will it already be out? By the time I get it out, will it already be out?
Oh, I see.
Is somebody else already
going to do it?
Right.
Well, very much. Probably. It's probably already happening somewhere.
Yeah. And so it's when I say run out of time, it's just, I feel a little irresponsible, not like spending 24 hours trying to get this out. But again, like I said, at least the manuscript is out and then I'm going to start working on that. I have it all out. I need Dan's help.
This is interesting because I actually just shared a post like an hour ago, a reel about, the trend that's like the she doesn't know it yet, but
I just saw that. Yes, you holding your boy's hand and oh my gosh, that was incredible.
So the story is that she doesn't know it yet, but it was like 1 week from that video.
Yeah, 1 week from now, she's going to close her agency. Yeah, I'll read it to you.
PR agency. But the whole point being like, I never wanted to do a PR agency. It kind of it happened that way. It's like where water goes and follow the path of least resistance. I already had the expertise. People already knew that I did PR and I did it well. So I just kept following the path of knowing what I know, having a system set up, being the best in class at it, and easily getting sales. To think that I could walk away from that industry completely. Mm-hmm. But I was actually allowing myself to stay in this vicious, toxic cycle of having to work 50, 60 hours a week, not being able to live the life by design. If I loved the industry, it would be a different story.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it. I fell out of love with it. So finally taking this leap to do what I'm doing now. But the question for you is, I know sometimes work is a slog, but do most days feel like this is meaningful work for you?
Oh yeah. I'm obsessed. This gives me so much energy.
See, that's a beautiful thing.
If I didn't have kids, I would just work all day.
You're just doing this 24/7.
Yeah, no, I stop myself from working because I love it. Like I said, when I say like run out of time, I'm so excited to get it out. It's just an excitement. It's like, I got to do this and I have it. And it's been put on me. Again, I'm grateful that it's been put on me. Yeah. It's also scary that it's been put on little old me. Right. But I'm so excited. I just wish I had all the time in the world to just dedicate to this. But I also love my marriage and my family. So. And you're just you with that brain and that expertise and your stories to share. How long have you been doing this for now? Yeah, almost 10 years now. It will be 2016. June of 2016 is when I was let go from my very corporate job. They got a new CEO, new president, cleaned house. And then I was like, all right, I'm doing this. Wow. And yeah, by the end of 2016 is when I kind of launched my website and all that stuff.
And then what do you do exactly?
What do I do? So yeah. I am a consultant. And so most of the women working with me, some women come to me and they go, I want to avoid IVF. That's rare. Most people have already been doing IVF for years.
Okay.
I do get a couple that are just starting IVF. It's like Christmas for me. I'm like, you haven't done IVF yet? Oh my gosh. Okay, let me tell you what to do. But usually they're like, what do you got? Like, I've been doing this for years. It's not working. Just help me. Because they have this knowing that if they knew what to ask the doctor, if they knew what strategy to suggest, they think something could work differently. They have this feeling. They're like, they're basically doing the same thing over and over. That's what they did with me 10 times. And so what I do is I'm their consultant. I'm their voice. I'm their advocate. They come in, I look at everything, and then, whatever it is we need to fix, right? It's 3 buckets. We're going to start with science, because that's what everybody wants to start with, where it's what is your perfect protocol and exact execution. And now I will come up with the questions to discuss with the doctor. We don't tell doctors what to do. We are kind and curious about, hey, I noticed this issue. My follicles grew really unevenly. Follicles are what hold the eggs. What would you recommend next time to even them up? Right? And then it's, okay, what about X, Y, Z? So a lot of times the patient is coming to the doctor going, what can we do differently next time? Nothing. You're 38. You're 40. What do you expect? End of story.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I'm able to do is say, you tell the doctor, I know that I'm 38 and.
Yeah.
What could we do about X, Y, Z? Hey, I know that I've had 3 failed transfers or 3 miscarriages. I know that I'm old. You agree with them. I'm this old hag. I get it. And what about X, Y, Z? So I help. That's the science part. That's really my part on the team. And then there's I have a board certified functional medicine expert. She's going to be the one to make them, first of all, uncover any fertility mysteries, and then make them as naturally fertile as possible. So huge. And then the last part is something I do just because I love it, but I also have success coaches who do the spirit protocols, which is all about moving up the map of consciousness. So going from the shame, fear spiral, which most of us stay stuck in during our fertility journey, and going up to just acceptance, reason, peace. I'm not going to get them to love their IVF journey, but more peace and acceptance. And that's done through a series of talks, videos. It's not think positive and positive things happen. There's a science behind it. And we teach them how to raise themselves up, which ultimately, which nobody cares about who hires me, will help them for the rest of their lives, right? They're like, yeah, that's nice, Tasha.
Like most people that I know that were having issues, and this is just personal anecdote, so whether this is like true or not, when they stopped trying because they allowed their nervous system to actually rest and not be so up in it, was when they conceived.
So there's definitely that. What I say about the spirit protocol is a lot of times our brain will start to think babies are bad for business, right? Because our pregnancies, our conception, our fertility has now become a major stressor. And so it's kind of this catch-22. You never want to tell somebody who has fertility issues, like, just relax. And because then it's like, oh, one more thing I'm not doing. Thanks. Yeah. Right? One more thing wrong with me. Now you're telling me not to be stressed. Well, that stressed me out. Right? But if you think about it in terms of your brain only wants to keep you alive. And so if all of a sudden your brain is thinking, this baby is bad for business, I am shutting this down, that's when you're going to see even more infertility, because your brain is like, nope, I'm vetoing this. This is not a safe place for us to play. So yeah, it's kind of a catch-22, but you have to be careful how you bring that up to somebody, because, they don't need to hear it.
We don't say just relax.
Oh my gosh, not unless you want to get punched in the nose.
That's it. I mean, if there's a prescription for punching, then please, by all means, say just relax. So you went through your own journey. And I mean, there's nothing like hiring somebody who's been through it before. like I say on this show, the best advice comes from somebody who has successfully done it before. What is the mindset shift, or what did you have to do emotionally to be able to get through some of those darker moments that now you reflect back on those days have helped you in your business?
Yeah. So to start, I would say if anyone comes to you saying, I've done 10 rounds of IVF, let me give you some advice, I would run in the other direction, right? Because what I did was all wrong. I did it all wrong. Right. And so how I addressed it mentally, I just screamed at Brian every time we'd have a fail. I would just take like 24 hours and just literally scream at him for everything I could think of. And that actually felt really good. So highly recommend that. No, I'm kidding. But my fertility journey was a mess. Right. And I think what that allows me to do is I still know what it feels like. I still can feel how I felt when I wanted something so desperately. And especially wanting baby number 2, I had a lot of guilt wanting more than what I had. Like, how dare you, Tasha? But there was this like hollowness, and I felt so guilty having it, and I couldn't shake it. And there it was, right? And so it was just this horrible, toxic shame storm for 5 years. But now, the things that showed up in my fertility journey, I always tell people, you're not insecure because of your fertility journey. Your marriage doesn't suck because of your fertility journey. You don't have, comparison game issues because of it. Those were always there. This is just something quite traumatic that is highlighting all of these things. And I would say the same for business, right? If you really want a mission-driven business that impacts the world, right? I'm trying to change a multi-billion-dollar industry. And all of the stuff that was under the surface, it's hard. And so you're going to be going through a lot of obstacles, a lot of problems. It's going to get highlighted. So figure it out as soon as possible. Hire and then keep on hiring until you figure that out. So I would just say the things that are coming up for you now of why you can't change your business or what, just all that mindset stuff, right? You even still heard it from me before, like, I'm going to run out of time. That's a fear, right? I shouldn't. The
fear of the future.
Right. And so these are all the things I would say what my fertility journey taught me was any difficult situation is going to bring up the stuff that you should have dealt with a long time ago. And when it comes up again, don't ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was recently I recorded an episode about how your triggers is a big data point because your triggers are telling you something that you need to work on yourself. So if there's something in life that you're triggered by, like, I don't know, I just saw these random conversations about a woman who's like a naturopathic doctor or somebody in that space. And she was just bashing women who got any sort of procedure done, from Botox to rhinoplasty to facelift. And I'm like, but that's if we want to do that to our bodies, like, it's no one else's business. But anyway,
yeah.
When she was saying that, old me would have been triggered by her being triggered.
Yeah.
But then I realized there's something about those people in her that she's either jealous of, that those people had the courage or the time or the resources to be able to go and do that.
Yeah.
Right. So even women that are shaming other people that are doing IVF because they're triggered by it, it's because maybe they don't have permission to do it, or there's some reason underneath it all. Your triggers it's an indication of something you need to work on. So I remember even yesterday, I had to have a really tough conversation. I had to call up one of our vendors that we agreed to bring on as a food partner for the event that I'm hosting. Yeah. And it just wasn't a good fit. And I'm not going to go into detail. It wasn't a good fit. And my co-host for the event, I had asked her yesterday, hey, did you reach out to so-and-so yet to let them know that we're going with somebody else? And she'd been putting it off and putting it off. And finally she's like, here's the script or the draft for the email that I'm going to send. I said, oh no, this is a phone call. It's not an email. It's a phone call.
Yeah.
And I go, I understand your reputation in the world of events in our town needs to be withheld. And I am totally fine being thrown under the bus for this. I don't care. I'll do it. So picked up the phone and I called him. And I had like a basic, like 2 or 3 things that I needed to discuss. Mm-hmm. And old me from 3 years ago would have overthought this and would have considered every scenario of him yelling at me, all these things. Guess what happened? Renee, that's cool. I'm glad you found a sponsor that's a good fit in alignment with your values in the event. There was no ill at all. Like nothing terrible happened.
Yeah.
But why I say this is because I would have been easily triggered by him had he gone the other way if this was 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I was ready for it because I've already been through it. I've already been through these conversations. I'm like, very quickly, okay, so say it goes sideways and you start saying these bad things. That's fine. Guess what? The conversation was recorded. So I have proof of whatever has happened. Mm-hmm. So even in like our business journey or IVF journey or perimenopause journey, there are triggers that have absolutely nothing to do with the other person.
Yeah. I actually teach that to my clients about their doctor. They have a lot of my clients are people pleasers like me. I attract what I am. I'm a recovering people pleaser, by the way. Right?
It's ongoing. I'm the same way. It's ongoing.
Yeah. It's like any other disease. It doesn't actually, anyway. But I have to talk them through, what if they're like, I've had people be like, I can't ask my doctor questions. And I'm like, if this was your daughter going through a medical procedure to make her body work and you just paid 20 grand and it didn't work. And they're like, so let's just try it again. And you pay me 20 grand again. What would you say would you be okay asking that doctor questions? And somebody else is telling you proven, I don't do IVF. I see this done. Right. And it's like, what would you do with your daughter?
Well, like just the idea of gaslighting from doctors for anything to do with women's health.
Yeah.
I've been.
Yeah.
And this was really tough for me because my family doctor, when we moved to our province, BC, we came in right before this massive influx of people that moved. And we signed up right away to be put on the list to get a family doctor. And you're just arbitrarily assigned whatever doctor's available. You don't get to choose. Mm-hmm. And we actually got a decent doctor. He's a younger doctor. He's South African, thoroughly enjoyed it. But we had different perspectives on what needed to be done during the pandemic. And he was really pushing stuff on us. And I'm like, I want to wait and see. I want to wait and see till there's more research that comes out to the people who've elected to do this, see what happens. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. He pushed back. And I was like, I'm going to be dumped by my family doctor. And now my entire family is going to be without a doctor because, and I was so worried but I was fighting for my rights.
You were fighting for your family.
And family. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. People are so unwilling to have those tough conversations. Mm-hmm. I finally called them up one day and I just said, hey, I'm going to put this out on the table. We don't agree on this one thing. We seem to agree on everything else.
Yeah.
Can this just be the one thing we don't agree on? And can we just not force each other to believe each other's perspective? And let's just get along. It cleared the air. And he's like, hell yeah, let's do it. And after that, I would text him or call him to ask him a favor to do something. And he did it right away, joyfully.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to have those hard conversations.
Yeah. And again, to your point, if they're triggered by questions that this is your body, you're about to put dozens of medications into in the course of about 2 weeks and then more, right? That's their problem. I do have some horror stories and they're very few. Listen, I don't even know how many clients in almost 10 years, but I can name probably a couple where I was like, what?
Oh, no.
You know, where one was like, oh, I don't do questions.
Oh, a
What?
doctor said that?
Doctor said this to one of my clients. I don't do questions. Because they're like, we just have some questions about the next time because it didn't work. And he was going to do the same thing that he did that didn't work. And I was like, they hired me and I was like, here's our question. And again, this is so weird. This is what everybody fears. And I'm like, don't be afraid. If a doctor isn't willing to, they don't need to collaborate. That's a wrong word, but have a conversation. And again, I'm not bringing up like, why don't we take a banana? And like, I'm bringing up things that have been proven around the world in the world of IVF from brilliant reproductive endocrinologists. Like, they've heard of this stuff. I'm not making it up. Okay. And for them to just be like, nope, I don't do questions. I'm like, that's not a doctor. That's not a doctor to collaborate with. A brilliant doctor welcomes questions and has a very clear answer as to why or why not they will consider it. Yeah. There was another doctor though, and again, this is like 2 instances and I can't think of any more. Thank goodness, because of how we address doctors, very kind, curiously. But another one was like, I've been doing this 30 years. Like, he had a tantrum. Oh, yeah. Like, he had a tantrum. And I actually called my mentor, which is this brilliant doctor. And we were like talking about it. She goes, yeah, he has been doing it the same for 30 years because he's not board certified and he has not been educated in IVF in 30 years.
Wow.
So like, it was just oh my God.
It's very clear. There are some doctors that are experienced, and then there are some doctors who have expertise. Yeah. The difference being the doctor who's been doing it for 30 years has experience doing it for 30 years, right? But refuses to learn modern day methods or to look at the new research or to even be inquisitive themselves. So they don't have expertise. Right. And here's the thing. Every profession has the few exceptional ones. And I've seen them in action, but it's few. And then there's same with most, okay. And then there's a few where you're like, you should not be doing this. Like, what? I've actually had some where I'm like, this is actually dangerous. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so my naturopathic doctor, actually I have a whole team. I have a couple of them. She is so good. Like, when you have an initial consultation to do like a parasite cleanse or something, she will hang out with you for an hour, not just sit with you, but answer every single question. Mm-hmm. If she doesn't know the answer, guess what she says? I don't know, but I will look into that for you. Yeah. Like, because they're not expected to know everything. Yeah. And like, the patience is it's unreal coming from her. I actually feel seen. Like, any symptom I mention, it's not like I'm being shamed for having the symptom. She's like, oh, that's information. Thanks for letting me know. Mm-hmm. Right. Instead of blown off of like, that's normal. Oh. I don't get a period. I'm trying to have a baby. That's okay. What are you talking about? That's okay. It's not okay. You kind of need to have a period to have babies. Why? I go, did she ask? Like, did she look into why you don't have a period? No, she just, said I'll go on the pill. And I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have that issues with my stomach. I get really bad reflux, and especially under stress. That's just how my body reacts. But instead of actually looking under the hood, they're like, here's some PPIs, so proton pump inhibitors, however you say it. Yeah. Long-term usage makes the issues worse. Oh. It's actually good to help the symptoms when you're having a really bad flare-up, but it's a Band-Aid for the solution. Right, sure. But he's like, another alarm. You'll be on this for life. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, because my doctor says so, I'm not going to ask questions about this. Well, that's stupid. Yeah. I think the best combination is both. The traditional doctors and the naturopathic, functional medicine, integrative medicine, whatever you want to call it, doctors, because the functional medicine expert is going to tell you why. Why do you have gut issues? Yeah. And then the traditional doctor is going to tell you what to do. Well, like, what's happening and help with maybe a surgery or a symptom or a medication if you need it. But if you need to start with the why.
And then I always say, start with the why and get wise, and then you go to the what. Yeah.
I love that. So then you go into business, and how are you unique compared to other people that might be doing something similar?
Yeah. I think nobody else does IVF like I do, unless you're a doctor. So I don't know any other IVF consultants. I know a lot of fertility coaches. I know a lot of fertility nutrition experts or holistic health experts or mindset support. Let me talk you through this. Let me support you. And we do all of those things. But if somebody's doing IVF, there's nobody else doing what I do.
And so what's the difference between a fertility expert and then what you do? So all this is new to me because I don't have to go through this, thankfully.
Yeah, I think a fertility, there's coaching, and then again, that would be the mindset support and usually functional medicine stuff, nutrition. Here's your supplements. Here's like that stuff. So that's what I consider fertility support or fertility coaching.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking of supplements. There's so many supplements I'm taking right now. I think I'm on like 15 different. It's like a meal.
Yeah.
It's a meal.
I just did all my blood work. I want to see. I stopped taking supplements for a bit because I'm like, I want to see what my baseline is.
Oh yeah. So, I bet I've started at the baseline. So now because I had to like quit cold turkey everything to do the testing to start over again. So now I'm like, sometimes it's like, take one magnesium pill. And I'm like, I'm going to take 2 because I feel like they'll get there faster. It's probably wrong. Don't take my advice, please. Do not.
I did that with this is us optimizers. Everyone listening, you gotta be careful. I had an eye thing where there was a little goo. I thought I had pink eye and I was supposed to be on the news. I was going to New York to be a part of many news features. And I freaked out, totally overcorrected. The next day, of course, I used chat and all that to be like, so this is what I did. This is like, don't do that. That was the worst thing you could do because I so overcorrected. I woke up, there was like fluid, a bulge of fluid in my eye. Oh my eye was so red. I was like, they're like, it's definitely not pink eye. You probably have a virus. And then, and that was more contagious. So I was a crazy person. It turns out I slept with my contacts in. I got a little goo in my eye. And if I just put in wedding drops, it would have all gone away. So there's that.
That is sometimes the solution's that simple. But yes, don't take any supplement advice from me, please. I have a whole team. We have public doctor, we have private doctor, I have a hormone specialist, a naturopathic doctor, 2 naturopathic doctors. Like I have a team. Yeah. And when one person tells me one thing, I bring it to the other person. Hey, what's your perspective on this? Usually the third person that says thumbs up. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going with this.
Yeah, I like it. And I work with people that they're not working with anyone for IVF, but functional medicine. I go, yes, I'm so glad. My Canadians, they have their naturopathic experts. I'm like, yes. And we're still running it by Becca on my team, right? Because I need to I know what I need to know, just cover my bases. So I love that. You can't do that if you're easily overwhelmed though. Yeah. I've seen that happen where people don't know who to believe. And it's like, well, that's where I like a lot of information. I like a lot of inputs because like you, then I'm going to take it all and I'm going to be like, okay, this is the answer.
That's it.
But not everybody loves that.
And also it's like, I think a lot of us fail to really tap into our instinct.
Yes.
Like, intuitively, what feels right typically is. No one has ever regretted going with their gut.
No, that's a big one. Whenever my number one question to my clients, I'm like, how did it feel? If they met a new doctor, I just met this famous dude. I go, how did you feel? And they have to, I go, this is, if you don't trust, if you didn't feel good, if the energy was off, well, yeah, it did feel salesy. I go, you can't go there. But they're the doctor of the, that's great marketing. And by the way, that celebrity was famously infertile. So why are we trying to go to her doctor? But, like, especially here in LA, everybody's like, I'm going to Kim Kardashian's doctor. I'm like, well, that's great, but she had a really hard time.
Sure.
That'd be like me being like, I did 10 rounds of IVF. Let me give you advice. Like, no, I shouldn't be
actually, what I do is like, I have some friends that are like super granola, and I love them because they're the kind of person that has like the Eco app on their phone that goes through every product in their household and it gives it a certified rating.
Yeah.
Everything in their house.
Yes.
So I'll text my friend Jen, hey, what about this like cola? Or what about this new toothpaste? And she's like, nope, yep. So when she tells me she's on HRT, or when she tells me she's taken a certain supplement, I'm like, oh, that's got to be it. Because I know she has 15,000 hours of research on that already.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm my client's 15,000 hours of research for IVF.
You're that person. You're the go-to. You're like, I've been through it, and I've also helped how many thousands of people?
Yeah. And I say, I'm like, you never have to Google again. Like, you just text me. You have any question, you just text me. But it's funny because I'll have clients, can we talk? And I figure, yes. And they're crying and they're like, so I was on Google. I was like,
right.
Okay, tell me about your Google search. But then I'm like, can I, again, I'm a people pleaser. I'm not a tough lover. I'm like, but remember I said you don't have to go on Google ever again. Like, what's making you do that? Yeah.
Right. Because like immediately you have a tumor, or there's like, that's it. Default, you're dying. It's like the worst case scenario.
Yeah. And it's usually like, well, like, what if? I'm like, well, we're waiting on this one piece of information and then we will know a path forward. Yeah. And that's something else I teach my clients. The whole idea of, do you have all the information first? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, we don't stop trying to make a decision. Cause I'm the same way. I'm prone to anxiety. And it's like, because I'll do what if I'm future thinking about everything. But I teach them, if you just wait for all the information to come in and really stop your brain when it tries to come up with solutions, sometimes it's like, well, this is our only solution. See, we didn't even have to spend any energy looking.
Oh man, that's so tough though. But so what I'm seeing in our conversation is the importance of tough conversations, and how people pleasers, those who are shy, are also those who aren't even motivated enough or confident enough to ask questions. Mm-hmm. What is some advice that you could give them to be able to have those tough conversations?
Yes, if they're not working with me, because of course this is what I do for them, but the whole idea is, think about how you would treat your child. If this was, because it's hard for people to do things for themselves. And a lot of times when you're a people pleaser, it's very easy to, how can somebody else benefit? So if this was your daughter in the situation and she was going through IVF and she's calling you up, bawling, saying, Mom, I'm never going to have a baby. I don't know what to do. All these things. What advice would you give her? If you had an expert that was like, here are your questions, this is what you need to ask. As the mom, you'd be like, I'll do it. I got it. I'm going to ask this doctor every question I want. That's how I want you to approach it. Approach it like you're not taking care of yourself, but taking care of your child.
And no question is a dumb question. Ever.
I know. And if your doctor makes you feel like it's a dumb question,
they're
that's
the dumb
their
ones.
Trigger, right?
They're the dumb ones.
Right. It's like, that's their trigger. You're trying to get clarity before you inject a million hormones into your system. This is your family you're fighting for. You're creating your family. Nobody else cares about your family except for you. And that's a harsh reality, but that's one to make it be like, I'm the mama bear. I'm the warrior mama here. And I'm going to get this done for my family because they are worth it and they deserve it. And we need to be together. And that's how they should move forward.
There we go. tough conversations. And if you don't know how to do this, then you're the lady to hire to have those tough conversations, ask all the right questions. Before we go, I want to ask you one final question. When I ask you what it means to be a wild woman, what is that to you?
That to me is being authentic.
Where does that come up?
Your core, right? What's in your core? I think that is being wild, because most people are so tamed, and that's not who they are. And that's also not as fun.
You know what? I love being wild. I love
and you want a best friend that's wild. You don't want a best friend that's perfect, right? You want a wild, authentic, just things in the wild are incredibly pure. Like it's incredible.
And beautiful and asymmetrical and sometimes stinky and sometimes not. And that's okay.
Right. So
Tasha, if people want to go online to find you, where can they go?
So tashablasi.com is the best. And there's even right away, there's like an arrow with a quiz. If you're doing IVF, take that quiz, because it will, you go through what are you going through, and then you're actually going to get a lot of customized resources. So that's where I'd start.
I love it. And I did have one question for you.
Yeah.
What is the age of the oldest successful client you've worked with? Women?
I would need to check. I believe 46.
Okay.
Well, I definitely know there were 46-year-olds. I'm trying to think if there was anyone older. I can't. Wait a second. Yeah, there's one older. She's pregnant right now.
Oh my, that's
yeah, because
so
she was
cool.
46. She was my 46-year-old with her first child, and then they always come back for babes number 2
for more. They want more.
They can't.
They want more.
They can't get enough. So yeah, she's probably then like 48. I don't know how old she is.
So any listener who's coming in at my age, 43. There's still hope if you want to have your first or second or 8th baby, whatever the number is.
She's about to turn 48.
Okay.
And she's pregnant with her second. So that's, I think right now, I am working with a 50-year-old. She's not pregnant yet. But 48.
We're at that age where sometimes some of our friends are grandparents and some of our friends are having kids for the first time.
Yes.
It's a phenomenon. It's pretty awesome. Okay. Well, this has been an incredibly enriching conversation. I've gotten so much from it, just understanding tough conversations. You have to be advocate for your own health, the advocate for your business, the advocate for the life that you want to live by design. So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.